Welcome to the first episode of Crypto Markets Wyckoff in Action. I am LSCL, and in this new series, we're going to explore the crypto market in depth and illustrate Wyckoff principles in action. Roman, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, Alessio. Very excited to be here with you. Really excited, that we're launching this crypto markets product. It's all obviously, Alessio's work. So we're gonna rely heavily on, his opinion about what goes into the slide deck and what are we talking about. So, Alessio, what exactly is the purpose of this program, and what could we expect here?
Well, this is a complete outlook of the crypto market. We're going to explore the major indexes, the major crypto assets, and basically I want to show all the Wyckoff principles that we apply to the stock market, to the crypto market.
That sounds great. Well, let's go forward. And here we are starting, as I understand, with the outlook for the main crypto assets, main crypto sectors, rather.
Yeah. Yes. So let's start with the major crypto indexes. So instead of the Nasdaq, S&P, Dow, or Russell, we see here the DeFi Index that tracks new assets in this decentralized finance sector, the mid-cap index that includes very popular assets like Chainlink, Bitcoin, and the exchange index. So what do you see on these charts? We are currently consolidating, and the last reaction show high volatility to the downside. So once again, yesterday's selling cryptos was anticipating some kind of profit taking in the market. And Bitcoin has just broken the support of the range, while the DeFi Index and the exchange index are showing signs of comparative strength against Bitcoin. So let's start today with the DeFi Index, the leader of this bull run. The automatic reaction mid-August was very, very laborious. Look at the downspread of this reaction. Price goes down and stops, goes down and stops again. This does not look like institutional selling, but just profit taking. Then volatility contracts throughout August. Look at the volume at the top of the range. I can't see distribution activity right there. All of a sudden, violent selling came to the market yesterday. Quick reaction. Now we are testing the support. And this is a very, very important level. Is this price action a terminal shakeout in phase C, or we are in the middle of a significant correction? Roman, what do you think about this chart?
Yeah, very interesting the way how volatility unfolds here. So I totally agree with Alessio that this area right here, we still see some buying, like on this bar right here, on multiple bars right here as well. And then that selling, subsides. So therefore, all of this demand tails, they're pointing to the movement to the upside. But then, Alessio, as we go up into the up thrust, I don't see a lot of volume signature, specifically demand, confirming that breakout. So I think that was a little bit of a clue here that we might have potential reaction here, but the biggest question was of what kind, and I wonder what your thoughts are on this reaction.
Well, as usual, our strategy is action, test, confirmation. So high volume, the support suggests that both sellers and buyers are active. For the bullish case, we want to see a test of this big reaction on decreasing volume, followed by a good reversal bar. If after such a dramatic reaction, instead we don't see much lift, then bulls will be really, really in danger.
Yeah, I would say that as well. I would be thinking, the character of the move to the downside is extremely important. Would we undercut even more significantly this level? well, then that is going to put us into much more jeopardy and would probably produce a more significant sign of weakness. And we kind of characteristically see that supply is increasing, spread is increasing. So there is increasing effort to push the price down, and the price just goes down with ease. So this is a little bit more of the bearish kind of pattern, but I think tactics are going to be extremely important here. As we, let's say, try to go down, would we recover back into the trading range? To which level would we recover? Would we recover to 1/2? Would we recover to the resistance point? Would we overcome a resistance point? So that yet has to be seen. Or will we attempt to go up, hit the resistance that acted before as the support, and then fail? This point right here would act as a confirmation of the bearish scenario. So still, Alessio, in my opinion, some short-term strategies obviously are favorable here, but in terms of, if you're a long-term investor or a trader, you probably still have to wait for some kind of confirmation, as you said.
Great. While Bitcoin was the laggard of this bull run, and now it's weaker than the other indexes and has broken the upsloping support. And so now, basically, that break is very, very dangerous.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll have to see, how that's going to unfold as well. Are we going to stop here? Are we going to try attempt to rally? That's probably would be the best bullish scenario. If we are continuing to the downside, that puts in jeopardy not just this trading range, but actually the whole rally that preceded that. Okay. Any other thoughts here on exchange and midcap?
Yes, the exchange index shows structural strength, high highs, higher lows, but this last reaction is still concerning. So we want to see some kind of very quick recovery after this. And the mid cap is a bit concerning for me because basically we have in the structure a lower high, and we see a lot of volume in the uptrust in late August. Price fails to commit about the resistance, and we want to see some kind of instant recovery because this is a very important index for crypto market. It includes assets like Chainlink, Cardano, and so on. But the structure for now is not good.
Mm-hmm. I would say just looking generally, when we talk about a more meaningful reaction, what do we guys wait for? Well, first of all, we want to create the conditions, before that reaction actually starts. What are those conditions? Just failure of the uptrend, failure of making the new highs. We see this in the Bitcoin. We see that also in the volume signature here, where some effort comes in, but there is no progression to the upside beyond the resistance. Something like this, where there is an upthrust on the volume signature and then supply increases and we quickly react back and go through the whole trading range. That's what's important. The upthrust resolves itself as the price goes down really quickly. And then in the mid caps, also the lower high, a local upthrust, and then really quick reaction to the downside. So the character with which the price moves down, somewhat aggressive, somewhat of a weakness character rather than a strength. And Alessio, as we were preparing for this session, you and I were talking about, general markets. And I think this is an appropriate time for us, and it's just so funny that it happens during the first recording, the first session. There is a correlation between speculative crypto assets and speculation in the current market environment, just because, let's say, in the S&P and especially in NASDAQ, we have had such a big climactic run. And that run has concluded today with the reversal, and we're recording this session as of 10 a.m. Pacific, so we don't know what the close is. For today, we're still 3 hours away, but it looks to me that this is a significant change of behavior. Specifically in NASDAQ, it negates 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 closes, 6 last closes. So that's a very significant stop in action. And I wonder if, institutions are just basically taking a lot of profits in all of the assets and instruments throughout the market, not just, in stock market, but in the crypto market as well. And it's kind of like a synchronized profit taking, synchronized selling. What do you think, Alessia?
Yes, it's very interesting because today's selling is very heavy, and who knows? But the crypto markets yesterday had quite a significant selling. So even in this case, the crypto market, very speculative nature, is anticipating some kind of selling and profit taking in the whole markets.
Right. And what do you think also about some of the strengthening in the US dollar that we've seen? That could be also like strengthening of the dollar, and then selling of the Bitcoin as, maybe like somewhat of an alternative, and then that selling goes to the market as well, kind of like that sequence.
Yes, also because Bitcoin is a digital commodity and commodities are inversely correlated with dollar. So basically makes sense. And we always want to look at the dollar when it moves.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you guys, check out what the market is doing. I think at this point it's appropriate for crypto traders, to look at the general market as well, because sometimes there are some confirmations that the general market could give you as to, how the crypto assets are behaving. All right, Alessio, what's next for us here? We're looking at the DeFi Index. What do you see here on this PNF counts?
Well, we have a nice base in July and 1 month of consolidation in this very volatile crypto space can produce a very significant bull run, and we see it on the chart. So you can find the PNF chart of this formation in my blog for free. Just visit Wyckoff and World of Cryptocurrency on Wyckoff Analytics website. I've used in this case a 20-box reversal with hourly data. So the point here for this chart is that generally we want to be aggressive with our PNF counts on the leadership assets and more conservative with laggards. And the DeFi Index was like the leader of this bull market in cryptos. So the first segment, highlighted in green, points to the buying climax of the current consolidation. But if we extend the count to the price action mid-June, we have two counts, conservative count and aggressive count. The aggressive count points to 4,000, while the conservative count from the bottom of the big formation points to the uptrust of this range. So very spot on, and I love that. Price has not broken the uptrend, but this reaction is very, very significant. It's a change of behavior. So volume suggests that buyers are active, and I think it's very logical because we are on the oversold trend line. But now we want to see what kind of rally we will have after this buying activity. So a break of the uptrend followed by a failure could be a change of character. What do you think about this chart, Roman?
Yeah, this is a very interesting study here. As you mentioned, with the lead in assets, we want to use higher objectives. And what's interesting here is that the conservative count was almost reached here. So that was a really good objective for us. But it also shows that, as the price did not go into the target zone, there is some kind of weakness about this just on the part of the demand, and we kind of see how the latest rally does not have that increase in demand signature. So this breakout and the upthrust is not being confirmed by the volume signature. Also, what's very interesting is that there is an increased amount of volume and market participation, in August, since mid-August, and we're kind of seeing that the price is just sloping up in this area right here. And now that we have a more pronounced decline, would we be thinking that on some of those rallies we had, some value selling into the strength? So I wonder about that. And as you said, continuation of the reaction, is going to be very important. Are we going to break this uptrend right here? Are we going to significantly commit to the downside? If we do, that is going to look like a sign of weakness. And the key is going to be what kind of recovery are we going to have? What kind of rally? Is it going to come back into the uptrend? Or is it just going to try to come back and then fail? Again, a confirmation would be that failure after the sign of weakness. Right?
Great.
Let's go
So
to
here we
Bitcoin.
see,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we see Bitcoin, and where this change of character in early August.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it's very difficult to judge the market looking only at Bitcoin. Generally, I prefer to look at the leadership assets and just then at Bitcoin. But now this chart is very significant because Bitcoin is a lagging asset, so it's very sensitive to a change of behavior in the market. And this last reaction that we have is breaking all the supports. And basically now we are just on the level of the automatic reaction. And this is very, very important. So we see a lot of volume this last bar, but we want to see what kind of reversal we will have here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, some observations from me, and I like how you identify in this change of behavior bar. This is probably one of the most important bars, in the last month or so. It First of all, it defines the trading range, so you have the boundaries. You could see how the upthrust um, temporarily commits and then quickly comes back on the increased supply signature, and upthrust itself has some supply characteristics as well. So that's on the upper boundary here. And then on the lower boundary, as you said, the current bar is testing that lower automatic reaction boundary, and it's extremely important to see what kind of reaction we're going to see here, because on the actual change of behavior bar, look at the tail, look at the close of that bar. It's in the middle of the trading range. So now, after that, how many closes do we have below that level? Well, if we would look, we probably would say that the latest bar is the most significant close below that level. And that's what kind of produces this almost like sign of weakness type of character. And that's on the background of the increase in supply signature, price moving easily to the downside and committing below the close of this, significant change of behavior bar. Another observation, Alessio, that I want to make is, decline like this usually is being preceded by the deteriorating condition of the demand, right? So, for instance, we had, somewhat of a good rally right here, then that change of character bar, then the next rally still is relatively okay, but it fails. So we already see deterioration here in the shortening of the thrust, in the upthrust action itself. And then the next rally, even though reaction suggested that we're going to have a rally here, but again, we as Wyckoffans always concerned about if the rally is going to happen, what kind of quality of the rally we're going to expect. And we're seeing diminished spread to the upside. There is not a lot of demand signature. So it was very interesting to see how this condition was created specifically for this decline.
Yes.
All right, let's go to the next one. And here is a very interesting picture, Alessio. So I see that despite of the decline, we still have some of the crypto assets that are moving higher. Can you walk us through this?
Yes, comparative strength is very important in stock market and crypto market as well. So basically, we have this formation on the hourly chart where we see Tron, which is a mid-cap asset in cryptos. We see a major sign of strength above the previous high. This is very, very important. And just today, with all this selling in the market, the Nasdaq and crypto assets, Tron is holding very well and now is basically in the market phase. Also look at the very low volume of this round bottom information. We see absorption on the way up on the left side of the range, because all that volume for now is absorption. So if you want to take some kind of long position just for a swing trade, I think that Tron is a good candidate for now.
Alyssa, let me ask you this question. I mean, obviously, we're discussing any asset in the relationship to the market, to the general market, as well, and specifically to the crypto market. So, on the background of this current weakness in Bitcoin and other sectors in the crypto world, would you be still considering, entering this position, on the background of this weakness?
On a very short-term basis, yes.
And I think it's a
But
very
just for
important
swing.
point. Yeah, I would agree with you. So, when we see deterioration, overall deterioration, we want to be a little bit cautious. And obviously, for us to go long again, we need to see some kind of stopping action of this reaction, testing, and then confirmation that indeed the reaction has been done. But this is definitely an outperformer. So a short-term strategy here would probably would work really well. All right, what's next for us, LSCL?
So we were talking about weakness. So this is a very weak chart. This is the Uniswap perpetual future as a derivative contract. Basically, this is a very, very speculative asset class inside crypto. It's like the most speculative place. And look how it's very sensitive. So sensitive that the selling in this market was anticipating the selling of the Nasdaq, basically. Look at that kind of hypodermic that we see. It's very, very interesting. And now it's already an established downtrend.
Yes,
So we can look for.
Mm-hmm. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
Roman.
Go ahead.
We can look for some kind of retest of the downtrend supply line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes
That
sense.
the
In terms of the lines here, I like also this support where we might potentially stop, slightly shortening of the thrust. But I wonder, Alessio, if this is the weaker asset, would we have some kind of continuation even to the downside? The hypodermic action is just so beautiful, especially with the volume signature, because on this overbought condition, we already see how supply is coming in and value traders are selling into the strength. On the continuation, there is no demand, and then a smaller supply just now synchronizes the effort with the result. So this is where we give our first clue that we're in the substantial change of behavior and we should get out of this asset. A confirmation comes later on and could act also as a point of entry to the downside. Alicia?
yes, it's very, very beautiful chart.
All right. What's next?
This is Wi-Fi, and this chart is very interesting because look at number on the chart. This is the most priced and high-priced asset in the crypto world, and basically now we are consolidating the low. You can see the decreasing volume signature on the chart. And today we have this really, really interesting up bar. So what kind of strategy could we adopt here? We want to be really, really short term because we are still in a local downtrend here. So the point is that if we see some kind of test, now we are breaking this this supply line, but if we see some kind of test of the channel, we could just consider a very short-term oriented position. The long
So
side.
are you thinking, Alessio, here short term, maybe like to the point of the resistance?
yes, to the top of the resistance.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense because basically we are bound by the trading range right now. So what do you do in the trading range? What are your tactics? Once the trading range is defined by the climactic action itself, by the automatic reaction, you know the boundaries. So you want to look for the touch or the close proximity. You want to identify that some supply is coming in, and then you want to confirm that by any type of reversal patterns. So this bar would be very interesting, just close, long positions go short, and then as you come to the area of the support, again, bars like this would identify exit points for us. So it makes sense to me that there is some kind of testing, there is a little bit of the course here in potential phase B. And yes, if that works, we could potentially have that move to the resistance point. Again, just the overall question, Alessio, in terms of so many assets in the crypto world right now are weakening, so we definitely should be more short-term oriented on the long side and be more careful.
Yes, that's the key, because when you see such a huge change of behavior in the market, like today, we want to be extremely short-term oriented. But the crypto space is full of short-term intraday traders, so why not?
All right, so
This is
next instrument.
this is dot, polka dot, and look at this beautiful apex formation right now. Volatility is contracting. Basically, look at this chart. We cannot see the huge selling that we see in the market right now. So it's a very interesting chart. And I'm looking for a short-term trade to long side here, because this asset is holding very well.
Okay, yeah, definitely stronger, same strategy as with the previous crypto asset. And if we're gonna go through some kind of reaction and it's gonna hold like this is gonna be definitely attractive. I think the key here is this bar right here. So the high of that bar overcoming of this bar, because we failed here, we failed here, we failed again, we're failing somewhat here. I would say that the short-term strategy, if we overcome this small resistance cluster, then definitely, there is a potential opportunity right here. But again, have to bear in mind, the overall market weakness for now. All right. So it seems like we've come to our conclusion here, Alessio. What are your final words on the market in general for the cryptos, and where we are, and what should we expect from the next session?
So be very short-term oriented. This is my advice for today, because when you see this kind of change of behavior, we really want to be sure about what kind of reaction we are having. So this is my advice for today.
All right. And obviously, when we talk about advice, recommendations, those are just that, recommendations, not recommendations, not advice, but just discussions about the market, because we just kind of like looking at the charts and trying to make the sense of what we see. And hopefully this is helpful, guys. So this is just the first session, and we're, trying out this approach with Alessio here for the crypto markets. Give us some of the feedback. Email us at wyckofassociates@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to hear any feedback. Alessio, your final thoughts?
I was excited to be here today, so let's look for the next week.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, guys, and bye-bye.